I'm your friendly neighborhood web war fanatic, and in today's video, I'll be going over an official ruling that we got for Daredevil's Focus of Senses side scheme, and I want to share some of my thoughts on this new hero of Daredevil, just my first initial impressions after my first few plays with him. I'll put timestamps in the description of this video for you guys to skip to like whatever part that you guys want to see. If you guys are enjoying my Marvel Champions content, please don't forget to subscribe and like the video. It really helps the channel out. So let's get into it here. So a few hours ago, one of my channel members, huge shout out to Matt here, he asked me a question about the timing of focus senses. So basically, according to the new rules reference guide 1.8, it says when defeated, it's now a forced interrupt, so the text on focus senses should fire before it interrupts on sense cards. And yeah, someone else pointed this out to me as well. Huge shout out to NolanTrapp, who actually sent in the question to Fantasy Flight Games. So let's go over here to rules reference guide, 1.8, and then I have it pulled up right here for the when defeat abilities. So it says here, this is a new thing that they added here. It says the when defeated timing trigger is now equivalent to the following trigger, force interrupt when this card is defeated. So, on Daredevil's Focus Senses card, which I'll put somewhere on the screen for you guys to see, but on there it says, when defeated, then you can basically grab all of your sense cards and rearrange them however you want and attach them to whatever they can attach to, right? You get to just get full control of that sense deck. But the question is, if you actually have senses attached to that side scheme, the focus of senses, if you have like, for example, I have Daredevil's cards right here. If you have like Acute Tactility attached to it, after you remove the remaining threat from that side scheme, you can trigger this to write up Daredevil. But since this card right here is just an interrupt, wouldn't the when defeated effect, from that force interrupt have priority? And that's basically the question that Matt here was asking. And huge shout outs to Nolan, who actually provided us with the answer right here. So we weren't sure about this. He was telling about it, and I was like, oh man, I think that I definitely, played that wrong because, obviously force interrupts have priority over interrupts. I feel like it feels bad for Daredevil to not be able to have that mechanic because it's a lot less, complex sequencing, a lot less cool things of what he can do if you actually have to trigger that one defeat effect first from that side scheme. And Nolan actually, he sent it in to Fantasy Flight Games, the official ruling, and they replied right here. So I have the reply from right here, and it says, so this right here is from Fantasy Flight Games, but he's saying, although when defeat abilities are a type of force interrupt now, they take priority over interrupts that specifically trigger via the same triggering condition. However, Acute Tactility and most of Daredevil's senses have that exact same wording. So their interrupt triggers upon the last threat being removed from a scheme, which is an earlier timing point than the scheme actually being defeated. So if Acute Tactility is attached to focus of senses, when it's defeated, Acute Tactility actually triggers first and discards, so then you can use focus of senses to put it into play from the sense deck. That's awesome. I'm so glad that they wrote it like this. And I mean, I talk about this all the time. The only complaint I have about Marvel Champions, which I think is the greatest game ever, the greatest card game, is that the rulings can be kind of convoluted. And but I think this one kind of makes sense here, right? Because the Acute Tactility, it says when the last threat is removed from the attached scheme, then you trigger this, and you remove that last threat, I guess technically before it's like defeated, right? Because you like take out all the threat and then it's defeated. So this is a slightly quicker timing condition. So the time window for Daredevil's senses are right before the when defeated effect, right before that force interrupt of when defeated effects, that equal timing condition there. So you get to trigger that. And then that's just so cool. So glad to see that. And honestly, I'm not even sure why they add this in, guys. If you guys know the reason for this, like what this helps clarify, please let me know down in the comments. But obviously this is a new thing that's in red that they changed in the rules reference guide. But I didn't really have any issues with the when defeated like timing trigger. Like I was fine of whenever it's defeated and you trigger it. I don't know why they moved it up to where now it's a force interrupt and it happens like basically whenever the side scheme is defeated, right? It's like equivalent to all other effects that trigger whenever the side scheme is defeated. So something like chance encounter, which is a regular interrupt, it's not a forced interrupt, would now it used to have priority before when defeat effect because the interrupt that happens, before the side scheme is defeated. But now it's after because the force interrupt or when defeat effects are now force interrupts. So yeah, I'm not sure why they changed that way. I don't really see a reasoning for that to like make a change there. But there's probably something that I'm missing. So yeah, please let me know down in the comments if you know why I did that. So I want to jump down to the table here in case you guys didn't understand what I'm talking about here, because I think that Daredevil, he's actually one of the most difficult to pilot heroes. He's like top 25%. One of the more difficult heroes that I've had to pilot in Marvel Champions. Probably not top 10. I feel like heroes like, maybe Magic and Falcon may have more difficult sequencing. Oh, Domino is a really difficult one. But yeah, I guess Daredevil, he's up there. And I didn't expect him to be so difficult, right? I thought it would be more easy and more smooth, but it's a lot of thought to him. So, in case you guys don't understand what I'm talking about here, let's jump over to the table and I'm show you guys on the table exactly what I mean by how this time window works and how it enhances Daredevil sequencing with his side scheme focused senses. All right, guys, so we're down here at the table, and I have like a specific scenario set up here against, Green Goblin, and we're playing as Daredevil here, and everything's set up perfectly for me to show off exactly what I want to show off with focus sense and how cool Daredevil sequencing can get. So let's say you have the side scheme to play. You have 3 Goblin Thrall minions engaged with you, and you have a bunch of side schemes, from the Green Goblin encounter set. We have Daredevil's Billy Club, giving him +1 attack, and we also have a Man Without Fear here, our key upgrade on the table. So Daredevil also has his separate sense deck, which we've always looked through the order of it. So let's say we have the sense deck right here, and the top card of the sense deck is like the superior taste. Well, when you have focus sense in play, it says that threat cannot be removed from the scheme except by Daredevil or Matt Murdock, so it has to be us thwarting it. Whenever it's defeated, you can move any number of your sense upgrades into play and attach the other cards they can attach to, and then choose any number of sense upgrades from the sense deck and then put them like straight into play. So we can do whatever we want, full manipulation of this sense deck. Otherwise, with our action Superhuman Senses, we have to play the top card of sense deck as if it were in your hand by paying its cost. This is not limited to once per phase or anything like that. So, okay, so let's say we have focus senses down and we want to thwart this out. So let's say we have like hand size of 6 here, like just flipping up from Alter Ego. So we use a resource right here, an energy resource, and I can trigger the action Superhuman Senses and play the sense Superior Taste. It's a top one attached to a scheme. We'll give it to the focus senses right here. Then we can use like the Man Without Fear. We can exhaust this card, deal damage to Daredevil, and then choose. We can choose any upgrade from the sense deck and then play it, ignoring its resource cost. So when we look through the entire sense deck, let's grab the Acute Tactility right here. So this one can attach to enemy or scheme. So we're going to give it also to the focus senses here. So let's say Daredevil here is going to exhaust. He's going to thwart for 2 from focus senses, take 2 threat off. Then we can trigger the superior taster as a response. After you thwart the attached scheme, we can discard this and remove 2 threat from that scheme. So we discard this, go to the bottom of the sense deck, and then we can take 2 more threat from this scheme. That will clear off focus senses. So we weren't sure about the ruling, but now we know that this one defeated right here is a forced interrupt. However, this interrupt is a different timing condition where it says whenever you remove the last threat from attached scheme, which has priority over the forced interrupt of when this scheme is defeated, right? So we can trigger this immediately first. So we just remove the last threat from focus senses, so Daredevil can ready up, and this gets this card going at the bottom of the sense deck. Now we can trigger the focus senses right here, this one defeat effect, where you can manipulate freely of that sense deck. So this will go into the discard pile, and then we can put all senses here however we want, which is really cool. Because before we weren't sure if it was just attached this way. If we can't trigger this first, right, and we just have to move the senses here, then all the senses get moved, but this stays on focus senses, and then we can trigger this afterwards to get them ready. But now this will remain in the sense deck versus being one of the cards that we're able to attach to whatever enemy that we want, right? So it's a lot better now that we do that. So we get them ready, and then we can replay the Acute Tactility basically for free here with the focus senses of when defeated being cleared. So now, okay, here's a super duper cool sequencing that I love here with Daredevil. So we can do something like this. So let's attach all these cards. We're going to attach, let's attach the Sphere Taste. This for scheme. We'll give it on the main scheme there. We can attach Acute Tactility. Let's give it on this side scheme. We can attach Radar Sense. Let's put that on, Green Goblin. We can put Enhance Olfaction. Let's put that on Immersion Cloud, the main scheme, and we put Heightened Hearing also on Green Goblin. Okay. So here, this is where I think is so cool about Daredevil, about his sequencing. So now we just put all our senses. We're calculating where everything is. Daredevil can sense everything. Okay. So let's say we exhaust. We're going to throw for 2 from the side scheme here, clear it off. Okay, we remove the last threat from the side scheme, so we can trigger the acute activity, discard this, going back to the sense deck. It's the only card in sense deck, and it can ready up Daredevil. Now this side scheme is going to be gone here. Okay, so it got defeated. Then we could use our superhuman senses here as an action, play a top card sense deck as if you're in your hand, spend an energy resource right here, play this. Let's say we attach it to this Goblin Thrall here. But with the ability clubs, we have +1 attack, so we can exhaust, swing for 3, take out the Thrall. We'll trigger this again, ready back up, it gets discarded, and then spend in our resource from your hand, a wild resource, attach this to, let's say, this side scheme right there. We'll Thor for 2, clear it off, remove the last one from the side scheme. We'll write up Daredevil by discarding Acute Tactility again. This side scheme is defeated. Then we can Superhuman Senses again, use the energy resource here, attach this. We'll attach it to this side scheme. Same exact thing, thwart, trigger this, discard, ready, side scheme is defeated. And then we can use another resource here, attach this to the Goblin Thrall, swing again for 3, take out the Thrall, get the ready again from here, using our resource here, and then we can like attach it to the main scheme. Then we can exhaust, throw for 2 from the main scheme, dropping it from 4 down to 2. We can trigger Superior Taste, right, going back to the bottom of the sense deck, which will remove 2 more threat. Then we remove the last from the scheme, so we can trigger both Acute Tactility and Enhance Olfaction. So basically, we can get the ready on Daredevil, and the next card that we play is going to be reduced by 1. So we could have this, like, and then they go in the bottom of Sense deck, of course. So we have this there. And then right now, the cost of the next card that we play is reduced by 1 because we have the Enhanced Olfaction right here active, right? So if we use our Superhuman Senses to play top card of the Sense deck as if you're in your hand by paying its cost, this is now free to play. It's 0 cost. So we use our action here, plays for free. We'll attach to a scheme, just put it back on the main scheme to get rid of it from the top card of our Sense deck right there. Then we could use our Billy Club's action here. Returns card to your hand from play. So it's going to your hand because we have no more other cards in our hand. Do 1 damage to enemy. Let's say we put a damage on a Goblin Thrall. Then we could use this as a resource now, a physical resource in our hand, to Superhuman Sense again, play Acute Tactility on the Goblin Thrall. We'll swing for 2, take out the Thrall. He's defeated here. We'll trigger the Acute Tactility, which will ready us up back again, and it goes in the bottom of the sense deck. And then we could swing at Green Goblin and trigger the radar sense here. After we attack and we discard this one and then do 3 more damage to enemies. So doing 5 damage here to the villain. And that's just such a cool sequencing that you have to really like think about. Like it's not an obvious sequencing. I mean, maybe some of it's obvious, like the readying and killing all the stuff. But it's just so cool that Daryl can do all that. Like he just wiped out 3 minions and he just cleared off what 3 side schemes, and all we had was just like 6 miscellaneous resource in our hand, right? It doesn't matter like what specific card we have. It's just like through the sense deck and some upwards that we have on the table, like the Billy Club and the Man Without Fear. But yeah, so cool just doing like lining up his plays like that. And I'm so glad that they allowed Focus of Senses here to work that way, and that's how they officially ruled it. So shout out to Fantasy Flight Games for ruling like that, and huge shout out to Nolan for sharing that with me because yeah, I just assumed that I was already attaching the senses there and triggering it and then triggering focus senses to attach them all again. But he pointed that out that maybe we wouldn't be able to do that. So I'm so glad that we're able to do that. Such a cool card right here. Probably one of Daredevil's best cards because it doesn't even have the victory keyword, so it never gets removed from the game. Always going back into the discard pile. Love this card so much, and yeah, it's such a cool combo Daredevil. So yeah, let's hop back to the video here. So yeah, guys, that is such an awesome sequence that Daredevil can do with his Sense deck. And yeah, let's go to the part of the video here where I want to share just some of my first impressions for this hero. He is so fun. He is easily one of my favorite heroes to play in Marvel Champions. I mean, a lot of bias going in there because I'm just super hyped for the hero and excited to have him in the game. Of course, like most of you guys too. But yeah, I really enjoy his Sense deck. I think it's very thematic. And I think it's not like cookie cutter, like I'm always doing this every single turn. I like that there's an order to it, and that with the Man Without Fear, with his title card, he's able to play once per turn, like a card out of order. Then you're like really thinking like, which one do I want to do? Which out of order card is going to really help me out when I need it? I like the Ability Club. You can just bounce back to your hand and use as a resource. That's so much more like fun thoughts to think about. Like you always have potentially one more resource if you need to make like a final push to try to kill the villain. Focus Senses is like the main card that we're talking about here in this video. So cool to be able to like manipulate freely the sense that you can just play out everything you want for free. Doing this multiple times in one game just feels insanely powerful. Yeah, I am a huge fan of Daredevil, in case you guys could not tell from all the players that I've been posting with him. I still haven't played, all the games I want to with Daredevil. We have not taken down Venom Goblin or Ronin. So I definitely want to build a deck to face those two difficult scenarios, because that's kind of like my pressure test for like, how strong I think a hero is. So far from just some limited plays and not really playing like a super powerful deck, right? Like we played his Precon, we played a no ally protection build for the Fear No Evil campaign. I think that he's for sure minimum at least an A tier level hero and potentially S tier. I did say that, before it came out, I thought he would be the strongest hero in the game. I'm not sure. I might have been wrong on that. Whenever I have my final decisions on how strong I think he is, I'll make another video talking about, me being wrong if I'm wrong, or me being right if I was right. Not sure yet at this point, but it's looking like I think I'm wrong. I think he's maybe low S or high A. But once again, I still haven't made like a super like powerful deck to like take on those super difficult scenarios like Expert Venom, Goblin, and Expert Ronin. Once I do that, then we'll see if I feel like, wow, okay, he is really powerful, he is the strongest in the game, or if he's just not that strong yet. Also, I think that he's a very difficult hero to pilot. I talked about this a little bit in the beginning of this video, but I wasn't expecting that. And I think that he has very simple effects. And you guys know me, that's kind of my favorite type of hero. Heroes with super simple effects, but you can actually make your single thing more difficult and more complex, and they kind of shine more based on the pilot. I think Spider-Man Peter Parker is like one of the prime examples of this. He has like, he's from the core set, so he has some of the most simple text on his cards like ever, right? Like backflip, prevent all damage from attack. Aunt May, heal 4 damage, as an ulti reaction. Swing web kick just doing 8 damage. But it's so cool that, as the game evolves and as scenarios get more challenging and complex, I feel like Peter Parker also has some really, really fun and interesting sequences that he can do as well. I think Daredevil is similar to that with the sense deck, right? They're all pretty similar, right? It's like you just gotta defeat attached enemy or remove the last start from a scheme, and you discard it and you get like a simple effect. But thinking about which sense to play, at what time, thinking about, do I want to like pick a sense, out of my sense deck out of order by using like the Man Without Fear, which is an option you can use like every single turn. Do I want to use my Deposition, this authority event, which allows you to choose any upgrade from the sense deck and play ignoring its resource cost, like to play a sense out of order there again, like will that help my turn? Because obviously we don't want to play the entire sense deck, every single turn and trigger them all in one turn, because there's different things that you want to do in a specific turn, and it requires a lot of resources. It requires 5 resources to play all 5 senses. So it just kind of depends what the board state is and what you want to do. And I think that complexity with simple card effects is like my favorite type of hero. So yeah, right now he's definitely a top 5 hero for me, guys. A lot of bias. We'll see over time if this like drops or if it even goes up. But it's really fun, and I don't even feel like I've like really played him enough yet. So I'm excited to play a lot more games with Daredevil. I want to do some two-handed games too with Peter Parker Spider-Man against Kingpin. Maybe it's gotta be Kingpin, right, guys? But yeah, I'm so excited to play him more. Right now I think he's super strong. But I think maybe I was probably wrong about him being the strongest here in the game. But I'm not sure yet, so still gotta play Expert Venom Goblin and Expert Ronin. And in terms of how fun he is, I think he's insanely fun. I think he's one of the funnest heroes ever, and I really just like how he plays. But I do think that there is quite a learning curve to playing him, and a lot of confusion for me, just kind of like looking at his cards, like thinking about like what to do. So you guys probably seen in my players with him where I'm just like stunted. I'm just like, sorry guys, I'm just trying to like think about what to do. I don't. I'm at a loss here because there's so many different paths you can take. So normally, you guys know I don't like heroes that have so many different paths, but I don't know. It's probably a lot of bias, but also because of the simple text and simple effects, right? It's just, whenever this happens, you do 3 damage. If you thwart, you can remove 2 more threat from a scheme, right? Whenever you remove the last threat or defeat an enemy, you can reduce the cost next try to play by 2, or ready up your identity, right? So just something simple like that. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Daredevil. I like the options. He feels insanely versatile. By the way, too, I want to add one more thing about his versatility. Whenever we were facing Kingpin on that 5th as a fifth scenario in the expert campaign for Fear and Evil, I was running a no ally protection deck, and I legitimately thought that this deck would not work against Kingpin. I still went ahead and played the deck, but I had a deck off screen, like a Justice deck that I built for Daredevil, and I was like, okay, once we lose here, then I'm gonna switch decks. I'm gonna reattempt, the fifth scenario because I read in the rulebook that you're able to reattempt this one for Fear and Evil if you flip one of your completed missions over, to the failed side. So I was like, okay, I'm all ready to fail, lose, and then we're gonna reattempt it with another deck. And as I was playing it, I was like, wait a minute, we can actually win this. And it was like the most insane thing ever because we have zero added allies to the deck, right? It's a protection build with all those Echo Precon cards. And I think that Kingpin is potentially, I don't, I want to say he is one of the most difficult heroes, sorry, one of the most difficult villains, if not the most difficult to play without any allies. I think compared to like other scenarios, even like more difficult scenarios like Magneto or Ronin, there's ways to defeat them without, allies or like less allies. But Kingpin, the way that his scenario works, you either do all the thwarting yourself, or you have allies help you. And it's hard to draw a thwart event every single turn that early game, while you're also trying to manage with like those minions stacking on and attacking you. So he's a crazy scenario to have with no allies. But I do want to say we did have some allies in there because we had the Typhoid Mary ally from the campaign rewards, and then we also got Electra, the identity ally for Daredevil. So I never played her, earlier to that, with the rest of the campaign because I wanted to do a no ally game. But for this game, whenever we drew her like, maybe mid game-ish, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna need Electra's help here because I can't do this without her. So we did have two allies here for that final scenario. We had Typhoid Mary, the campaign ally, and we had Electra here, and they were super duper clutch. I mean, we definitely needed them. So I will say I was not able to defeat Kingpin with zero allies, but with Electra and a campaign ally, like zero allies added to the deck, we were able to take him down, and that was just I can't go over like how fun of a game that was. I think that was an hour 50 minutes of one true solo game for the campaign. This is giving me like expert Galaxy's Most Wanted Ronin vibes, Sinister Motives expert campaign, Venom Goblin vibes, right? If you guys seen on my channel, those are other campaigns I played and recorded, on the channel. And I think all of those games, in true solo, last at least like an hour 30 minutes, which is like longer than some of my two-handed games with two heroes, which is crazy to like think about. So yeah, it's really crazy. But yeah, I mean that was like one of the most epic feelings of funness I've ever had in Marvel Champions. This late in the game's life, Daredevil versus Kingpin, really cool. Yeah, so for sure, I think Fantasy Flight Games did an amazing job with this hero. I think he's very well designed. I think that he's a hero where the more you play, the better you get. I think he's difficult to pilot, but once you master him, and I have not mastered him yet, but once you master him, I think that there's so many cool opportunities of different things you could do with him with the versatility. Sorry guys, I'm going rambling like all over the place here, but that's what I wanted to mention here was in that game, I was playing, a defense focused no ally build, but the entire like maybe like first 30 minutes, I couldn't build up my defense stat because I need to worry about the threat that Kingpin was accumulating and all those minions. So we just completely ignored the protection cards, and I was basically just playing Daredevil cards to remove threat, to take out minions, and he was managing. He was managing without any help from the deck that I built, which is crazy. And eventually, whenever we got in a breathing room, we were able to start building our defense stat and getting those perfect defense stuff and trying to do what the deck wants with that higher defense stat. But yeah, it's crazy that like Army of One is a card that you increase the cost to play it for each ally that you have, and we had like one or two allies, so it was like a 2 cost or 3 cost card for ready, which is not worth it. But we had to go that way, and we rarely played the Army One. I think I played it one time early game, paying 2 costs for it, and then afterwards, once all the allies died, then we leaned into that no ally build, and then the Army Ones was just 1 cost. So cool that he has the versatility to go opposite of what the deck wants and just like deal with the presence of the board. He can do threat, he can deal with minions, and then eventually lean into what the deck wants to do by building the defense stat and going hand with it with defense. So just crazy to see that a hero can do that. I was very surprised, did not expect that at all, but So fun. So yeah, that's my early thoughts here on Daredevil. I'm pretty open to putting him in S tier, and I'm still open to having him be the strongest hero in the game. Because once again, I still haven't played like a super strong deck with him. So once we do all that, test against villains that I'm more used to, that I have like a measuring stick for, like with Venom, Goblin, and Ronin, then I can give some more conclusive conclusions on Daredevil. But playing Kingpin, it's hard for me to gauge because Kingpin's a new villain, haven't really faced him, so it's hard to use that as my parameter because like I just don't have like a common ground of like, okay, I faced a villain with like Strange, with Spider-Man, with Cable, and I know exactly how easy it is for them. So yeah, I'm very looking forward to trying that with Daredevil. And yeah, these are my thoughts, guys. Let me know down in the comments. What do you think about Daredevil? Did you agree with me? Do you disagree? And what do you think about the ruling, the official ruling that we got with Focus's senses? That's so awesome, right? So yeah, such unique decision-making opportunity. Hope you guys all liked this video. Hope it was informative, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.